Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Morning, Chris, Benton, Rich, Enrico. How's everybody doing? Let's see. Let's see what we have going on here. Morning, Greasy. We're going to have an opening range gap. I took Chris's advice on using the fib for my levels here. I set it all up last night, and actually, I went ahead and used my fib for everything that requires a high-low, and it's actually, excuse me, it's actually a million times faster. So, yeah, Chris, I listened to you. Okay, I was expecting a run up, but I wanted to see a move down first. Doesn't look like, I don't know. We'll see if that happens. But anyways, let's see. Let's go through this. Now we have our opening, or I'm sorry, the close here. Then we have our gap open here, and then opening range gap. I had to change the color though, because the yellow didn't work out, because the numbers here, you can't change the color of the numbers. So I had to do that. The only thing I forgot to do on this one is type it out and save it. But everything else I did it. I saved it. As you can see there. So I'll just save this. It's overlapping. Here, this is what I'm going to do. Opening range gap high. That is not what I wanted. Opening range gap CE. And then on this one, opening range gap low. All right, now I'm going to save this as my template. Opening range gap, save, boom. There we go. And then now I can use this as my opening range gap. There we go. And then if I do need to see, let's say I need to see the quarters, then I just check it on 25, 75, and I can see where they are. Turn them off. Boom, good to go. All right, now this is flying up. This is not really what I wanted to see, but it's fine. It's fine because that just means, here, hold on. Let me back up and go through everything first. My reads and what I'm seeing here. I'm choking up because I can't say it. Listen to Chris. That's funny. Good morning, Erland. Yeah, I saved everything else with text in it, but I just forgot the opening range gap one. All right, so here's the daily. We're still in this weird crap. Just ugliness, right? So my bias today was to take last week's high up here. This is too clean. Buy side liquidity up here for the daily chart. I mean, this is just, we're too close. We're too, for the short term, bullish, where I don't see us not taking these highs up here, 965 area. Like I don't see us not taking that. What I wanted to do is see it dip down first, but let's drop to the 15-minute here. So the 15-minute, as you can see, we have this displacement. We have this volume imbalance right here. Fair value gap here, but since it has a volume balance, you have to include it. And then it reached all the way up into this 15-minute fair value gap, internal range of liquidity. And then it was kind of hanging out up here at previous day high, for which is yesterday's high, of course. What I wanted to see, and then I have my buy side liquidity up here. Very clean buy side liquidity. And let me go ahead and move it up to this high. And then I have my sell side liquidity down here. I have London high, London low. So what I wanted to see was, because I believe price will come up and take last week's high, what I was really looking for was price to come down into this 15-minute gap. Basically, internal range liquidity here, which right here would be the midpoint of the opening range gap. So I really wanted to see it come down here first and then go. But obviously, you can see price open and we just shot straight up. So now, since we're at this area, I actually want to see a sweep here. And two things I want to see, really. One of two things. I want to see a sweep of this area, a pull back into something. Maybe this, if this turns into an inversion. I don't think we pull back all the way down here now. We could. So I'll wait to see if we get a pullback to an area, or I want to see it reach up higher and sweep last week's high and then get a pullback. Either way, I'm looking for a pullback now. So that's basically my framework. Wanted to see it go down for, and then we have the data high, data low from the report this morning. Oh, you know what? I marked that from the 5-minute. It looks like, yeah, I marked data high and data low from the 5-minute. I typically don't like marking those on the 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to this 1-minute candle. I like the 1-minute candle, data high and data low. Oh, my sell side liquidity back. There we go. What's today? 13th. And I'm going to lock this one in here. There's no more news today. So you see how we're sweeping that area. You got to be careful though. Going short. We have some minor sell side liquidity all down here. Back on the 1-minute. And as you can see, at the very top of the screen, I added my the clock. So that way you can see the time if you're ever reviewing. Look how it's shooting down. Okay, so here's the thing. You got to be careful because I expect it to trade down here in this area. Oh, you know what? One thing. Let me check new day opening gap. Let's see if we had one. $16.45. We closed here. Yeah, we have a little bitty one. Let me go ahead and put it there. $16.45. Closed here. Opened there. So we're going to go new day opening gap. I don't need the midpoint. So get rid of that. I got to reverse that. So this is what I was going to say. I expect price to come down here in this area. And what I prefer, like, I don't think we're going to just, we may sweep sell side, but I don't think we'll just keep running low and just keep running low. So since we ran up here, we're sweeping buy side. I want to see it run down into this internal range liquidity and then look for a long through last week's high. We got too close now. Like, there's no way we don't go up here through last week's high, in my opinion. Now, I do want to see, you got to be very patient because we could hang out here. We could sweep sell side here. So just have to kind of be patient. I find it hard to believe that we got so close to all this liquidity up here that we're not going to go up higher and take that. It's possible, but I don't think that's the case. So I don't think we'll run down here to the short side and just keep running short. I don't think that'll happen. Yeah, so Trump is speaking at some point today. I definitely have been keeping my financial juice up and ready. And I recommend everybody do that right now. Yeah, first presented fair value gap was right here. Let me go ahead and mark that out so we don't forget about it. There we go. Oh, why is my... So I'm looking for an inversion. Once I get an inversion, like any of these gaps, if this inverts and we trade above this first presented fair value gap, that will be what I need. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a long. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking for a long today. Especially with us getting so close to up there. And this is where I'm showing. This is what I'm talking about. Right here on the daily, we have relatively equal highs right here. I mean, this is just way too clean. The high of this wick is 965.75. The high of this one is 967.75. I mean, they're right there. And then you have this up here, these equal highs at last month high. And then you have this up here. And then you still have the inefficiency between these two. So now, let's see where... I don't think we trade down into this wick, but we'll see. We'll see. We shall see. Because if they do want to, if price does want to run higher, cleared out all the buy stops up here, then run down to internal liquidity, and then it can run up through there, through that high. So this one, I want to mark out this one because I want to see this get inverted right here. I want to see that become an inversion. I'm going to go ahead and speak it into existence by marking it and then close above the first presented. And then I'll be looking to go long up in this area. Need to invert it, actually invert it though. And then we'll be back above yesterday's high. Oh. Dang it. My opening range gap is reversed as well. Yeah, I got to figure out if I need to go top, bottom, or bottom, top on these things, how I marked them. So if I go top, bottom on new day opening gap, that's correct. Let me see about opening range gap. Yeah, top, bottom. Is that what you said, Chris? Top to bottom. Yeah. Okay. Top to bottom. All right, so we have this fair value gap here. We are trying to invert this one. We have this 15-minute fair value gap here too. Even though we traded through it on the 15-minute chart, that's a wick. We haven't closed through it. So you can see that. Huge wick right there. So I would want to mark this out to see the midpoint of it, just in case, which would be this orange line. I'm not going long yet. Even if we dip into this fair value gap right here that I just marked, that's not an entry for me. I'm not looking to enter there. Need an inversion. Well, this lower portion was reclaimed, but I need this to get inverted first. Looks like some senior Trump administration officials have been talking this morning. All right, looks like we may get that inversion here now. This is where I wanted it to trade down into, right here. That internal range liquidity, and then looking for a run up through last week's high. Well, we haven't closed above. We closed right at it. Still got a few minutes before the 950 macro. All right, so we'll see now if this area holds up. This is also why you don't go long yet, because it very well could want to sweep the sell side liquidity here. But I really don't think we go lower than this area, though. But we'll see. We wait and see if a fair value gap forms here. And if one forms here, then I'll wait to see if it gets inverted. Here, let me clean this up. Let's see what this fair value gap does here. It's almost 950. What do we do here? Do we invert this, or do we go down from here? I really want to see this get inverted. That'd be beautiful. And it is 950 now. But keep in mind the lower portion of this 15-minute fair value gap right here. See where I marked 15-minute volume imbalance? There was a volume imbalance right there. So it could wick down into that first because you see back here, it did not reach it. So it could but it traded to the midpoint of it too. So we'll see. It's balanced, but it could reach down there at some point. If we get this inversion here, then I may go long off of this area here. But we'll see. Yeah, we got that inversion. I'm going to wait a second, but I might go long here. I'm going to see if we can build up some support. Yeah, I'm going long here. My stop is going to be under this wick right here at about 849.25. I don't think we come down lower. And I'm going to aim for these highs up here.
Order submitted.
I do want to see the displacement up through this high. I just feel like we're too close to all that buy side liquidity to not go up there. It could happen after a sweep, though, down here, like I said. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or not. Need to get that displacement up, though. And actually, if it makes it up there, it's going to go all the way up there. But what I would do is if price does make its way up here and take these highs, then I'd put my stop right up under it to secure. And really, once we invert this one, if we do go up, and here's the midpoint of that wick, the 15-minute wick that I mentioned. So if we start getting in this area, anywhere above this 918, I'll likely move to break even. I need to wait for it to get there first, but we should not come back below this swing level here. So we'll see. We just need to get that displacement up. But yeah, if we can get up to about this 918 area, then I'll go to break even. I do want to see us close back above the first presented fair value gap, though, to feel a little better. The higher time frame charts are not very pretty right now, I'm not going to lie. But my framework and my read, unless the only thing that's going to mess this up is if we do another, if price wants to have another sweep or, go through this 15-minute imbalance or sweep these lows. That's the only thing that'll mess it up. But I don't think we do. I think we're going to displace up and just go ahead and run up here. I am watching my financial juice in case if I see a Trump headline. Need that Trump indicator. Basically, need a Trump indicator to either sell on Trump news or move to break even if you're in a long position. Here's that data high. Here's midnight opening price. Here we might get a little fair value gap here. Thanks, Chris, coding that Trump indicator. Like I said, once we hit this 918 line right here, I'm moving to break even just in case. Because I don't like that 15-minute wick. Or you could just take profit there for some low-hanging fruit. Just keep in mind, we're still inside this fair value gap right here on this 1 minute. We got close to it, but I could tighten up under this inversion, which I will. Really want to see that displacement. A little fair value gap here. So price could trade back into there, but I really don't want to see it come back into this. I want to see displacement up, like this bar close up from here. Then it'll give us a better gap. Like I don't want to see it come back down here, but there we go. I'm going to break even plus commissions here. Midpoint, just under the midpoint of the first presented fair value gap. Now it's a free trade. Like I said, once price takes these highs, if that happens, then I'll be quick to move my stop up underneath it and then let it go to see if it runs out through that buy side, ultimate buy side up here, last week's high. But of course, when you're heavy into profit like this, like it's never a bad idea to take profit anytime you want. Because see how we have this gap now, we could pull back into here. We could pull back anywhere into this area, to be honest. So, and it really could pull back and knock me out and keep going. But I don't see that we do. We have this fair value gap right here. It's not very large, but it's there. So I want to see that hold up. This was the old buy side liquidity that we ran out up here, cleared the way. I mean, I'm like very confident we're at least going to reach these highs. So, and actually I am going to move my stop right there to these highs. I'm not going to risk. I don't want to risk it being right here, it pop up, me not being able to move my stop quick enough, and then it pop down and I lose out. So let me just play it safe. Hey, it just takes time, Will. It just takes time to be able to sit in these like this. And really, once you are very confident and see it over and over and over, then you'll be able to, to build that up. It does take time. It took me a while to be able to sit in trades like this. Especially, I'm only 5 points. My stop's only 5 points up, right? So if it comes all the way down and knocks me out, like I'm pretty high in profit, and I'm potentially risking giving it back by not trailing tighter. But I have a very obvious target, in my opinion. So that's why I hold. And that's why I have the confidence to hold. And I know price could reach back into here. It could tap this area here and keep going. But you could always take profit. There's nothing wrong with taking profit ever. See, this is old buy-side liquidity, old data highs. It could stop here. Look where the bodies are closing. You have to be aware of all that. Yeah, we flip-flop, Chris. Chris used to be able to sit in trades forever, and I would always be like, oh, I'm nervous. Let me get out. And now it's flip-flopped. I don't think he's like as nervous, but still. Like when it starts retracing, I guess I'm just so confident in ICT concepts and everything I've learned that I know what could and should happen, that I feel confident enough to just sit. But you got to see, like we have these imbalances over here to the left. Uh-oh. Okay, I saw some news popping up on Financial Juice. We have these imbalances over here to the left. So this is where you could hit some turbulence. It's likely to still go up, but you got to expect we could hit turbulence, right? So then as soon as we close above this low right here on this bar, 932, if we close above that, that can move my stop up because that'd be an inversion. And then we have this fair value gap. Like I mentioned, we have not touched it. So price could come down into it before it continues up. And once this bar closes, I could move. We should not go or close below this swing low. But you see, there is some turbulence here, right? So but you see how it's engineering all these highs right here? I'm looking for a displacement up and through it. Like I said, in this area, there's nothing wrong with closing your trade when you're up this amount. Like, nothing wrong with it. Especially we have reasons where you could just hop out of it. So I'll be monitoring it. If we don't soon, it's 10 o'clock now. Oh, never mind. It got there.
Order canceled. Order canceled.
It got there. Hold on. Making sure everything's closed out. We're good. See, that's the displacement I was looking for. This is what I was just saying. I was looking at these highs right here, engineering small liquidity. We had this last imbalance, create turbulence, displacement up. There it is. Yeah. Here, let me throw on my executions. 949.75. And this, I mean, it went up above because I was at 949.75. Right here. Like right in this area. Boom. Shot up. See, this is exactly why I went ahead and moved my stop to where my actual target is. Because look what happened. Imagine if I left my stop up here, my target up here. And you remember how I said, oh, once it takes these highs, then I'll just move my stop right underneath it and let it go. But then I moved it down because I said, well, I've seen a lot of times where it'll pop up and come right back down, and then I can't move my target fast enough. And my stop fast enough. And that's exactly what would have happened on this trade, right? It would have shot up. Do y'all think I would have had time to move my stop up underneath this before it came back underneath it? No. So, another little lesson. Just put your target where your target should be. Don't put it somewhere and try to put your stop underneath it because it don't always happen. But hey, 10 grand. 10 grand. Nice trade. And these, remember, I'm still on reduced size to what I normally trade. So if I had my normal sizing, this would have been a 20 grand trade across all accounts. Yeah, Chris, I don't remember. I'd have to see the video where I had my target initially. I think it was a little higher because I know I was just under last week's low. Last week's high. I think I was just under. But see, here's what can happen, y'all. Again, we're too close to that. We're gonna go through it. But price can always, not can always, it typically retraces. right? So how do you know where it could retrace to? I'll tell you exactly where. Go to the 5 minute now. And we created this 5 minute gap. Fair value gap right there. So before we run through this up here, we could come back down into internal range liquidity again. Where? The newest internal range liquidity before going up. Doesn't have to, but if you're looking for a place that it could, well, I would expect it right in this area. Right here again, where this 5 minute gap is. Maybe retest this midnight opening price. Doesn't have to, but it could. We have this imbalance here. It has not closed below it. So maybe this is all it needs and then go through. But do you want to sit through that? I don't. I don't. Just to get an extra, what? 61. 5 points? No, thank you. But yeah, great trade. Great trade. That was a beautiful trade. Mooncake. Yeah, are you still here, Mooncake, Richard? I remember them days sitting in an LRE, sitting in simplicity. That's what I was just talking about. What Chris was saying. I would get so nervous and anxious sitting there. Like I just wanted to go, right? It's like rip the band, either hit my profit or hit my stop fast. I don't care, whichever way. Let's just go. But now, because I'm telling y'all, I don't care what anybody says. There's an algorithm in the market, and this is the algorithm. Okay. I don't think ICT coded the algorithm and created it, but there's absolutely an algorithm, and this is the algorithm. I've seen it way too many times. And actually, I've found another video of this Wall Street trader, an older man, has been a Wall Street trader for 40 years, and he talks about the same exact algorithm, except he doesn't know what ICT is, what smart concepts is, any of these. He doesn't know fair value gaps, but when you listen to him talk, he's talking about fair value gaps. He's talking about sweeping liquidity. He's talking about, he says the algorithm, the point of it is to create liquidity in imbalances, and that's what moves the market. Like it's all the same thing. So like knowing what should happen, nothing's ever certain, right? Trump could tweet, whatever, but knowing what should happen gives you confidence. And that's why I feel like I've been successful with ICT concepts and getting more and more successful, because I know the why, and it gives me confidence to sit. Why? If I know why, I can sit and be patient and be comfortable. And then if I'm wrong, well, then I go back and I figure out why. Oh, did I misread it, or did something happen in the market that was unpredictable, like a tweet or tariffs or something, right? So, morning, Trader Joe. Are you just joining us this morning? No, I'm talking about here. Let me find the guy's name. Let me see. I had his name. Here, actually, let me throw the video in here for you guys that I'm talking about that I watched.
For instance,
his name is Richie Nasso, an older Italian guy. Richie Nasso. Yeah, an ice storm. Oh man, yeah, I'm seeing lots of snow and ice and all kinds of stuff happening all over. Yeah, we had a beautiful trade today, Trader Joe. You see my entry down here at 883. Got out at 949, so 50, 60, 70-ish points. What's that? Let's get an actual calculation here. I know I could use my thing on the what's it called? The chart, but calculator is easier for me. 66.5 points. How many ticks is that? 266 ticks. What a beauty. What a beauty. And look, what did I say? Where would I expect price to pull back to before it runs these highs? Right here. Look where the bodies are closing. 5 minute gap. Created internal range liquidity. Yes, we reached all the way back down here. Why? Well, clearing out some buy stops or sell stops. Clearing out some sell stops down here under these lows. Clearing out some sell stops, hitting more internal range of liquidity. And then in this 5-minute gap right here that I mentioned, right here. Look where it's closing. Body's closing. Wick reaching down. Manipulation. Taking out sell stops. Closing here. As long as we continue to close above the midpoint of this 5-minute fair value gap, we're going to see price go above 968. Just the way it works. Yeah. Man, it's getting close to me for me to go back to my normal sizing, which I'm excited for. Because like I said, this would have been a 20 grand trade right here. My normal sizing. But still, I mean, look at yesterday. This is why money management is so important, y'all. So important. Yesterday, what did I show y'all? I lost between $100 to $200-ish, right? On a trade that it took. Let's be real. Yesterday's trade was a gamble. Okay. That was bad. I even said, oh, this is a low risk, low probability. Well, what's a low risk, low probability trade? A gamble. So I shouldn't have done that. But anyways, I did. I lost between $100 to $200-ish per account. Now I made that back and then some, right? So money management, discipline, money management, and having a strategy that you are very comfortable with. That's the key. You're holding a couple contracts. So here's my bias for today, that we take this last week's high here. After that, uh-oh. Hold on. We got some red news here. I'm told the new tariffs President Trump announces today will not go into effect today. There will be a time delay of some months, probably April 1st start date. That's to be determined. This will be a presidential memorandum. Oh, they edited it on me. Today and not an executive order. Okay, so this might make price continue higher and not give us a drop. But we'll see. I hate Putin and Trump call was okay. Kremlin's talking. I would not feel comfortable holding in a trade at this moment. There's a lot of stuff being released. But anyways, yeah, after that high, let's go to the 4-hour, because after that high, excuse me, I would expect price to reach up to, what's the low of this candle here? It's pretty close. Price should go to 990 is where I'd expect price to go to. Once it takes this last week high, 990, and then this high, which is 078. So 990 to 078, and then eventually to 094. So all that area. Now, doesn't mean it'll go straight there. It could come up there and then pull back into any internal range liquidity that it creates. Let's look at the 1 hour. Yeah. Nothing on the 1 hour. So yeah, I would look at 15-minute time frames and 15 and 5-minute. And if it takes these highs up here, I would expect price to pull back into any 15 or 5-minute fair value gap until it eventually gets up here to 094. Ken Ratchlin. I don't know who that is. I mean, maybe, but it's not ringing a bell right now. Is he on YouTube or Ken Ratchlin? It does kind of sound familiar. He's in the Facebook group. Oh, I know who you're talking about. The guy that keeps... yeah. Actually, okay, I know exactly who you're talking about. Poor guy. I feel bad for him a lot of times, actually. Yeah. I feel well, and it from the looks of it too, he needs some discipline. He needs to get in touch with his discipline. Yeah, exactly. It's mental for him, I believe. But also, see, look, here's the thing, like it just goes hand in hand, right? 33.3% strategy, 33.3% psychology, 33.3% discipline. Like, yes, I think discipline psychology is 90% of it, but you need all of it, right? So like the more in tune you are and comfortable you are with your strategy, the more disciplined you can be, right? Um and vice versa. Like it goes all the way around. It's like a scale that all has to be balanced. Yes, I think most people fail because of discipline psychology. I think 90% of people fail because of that. But the balance on all three of those needs to be balanced. Yeah, he said that he was right there and then lost it. Which, hey, I've been there, you know. Let's see. I think I missed somebody. So you think, oh, Trader Joe. So you think we'll take the highs today and do a TGIF tomorrow, 20% drop? Possibly. But see, oh, let me get rid of this. Here's the thing though, like because on the daily chart, I've still been fairly neutral, but if we do take these highs, which I think we will, that's what I've been saying like the past couple weeks. We need to take the high of the week, the high of the previous weeks. We need to take these highs or these lows down here to really establish a bias. If we do take these highs, I mean, there's potential for us to run all the way up to all-time high again, to be honest. You just have to play it each day and read it. But if we take these highs that close up, and especially if, let's say, tomorrow we don't have a TGIF and we have a displacement up and leave a daily fair value gap, because look, where's the last fair value gap, right? Like here's volume imbalances. It's not really even a fair value gap. This one's the closest thing we had. So we could see it reach up, sweep here, and then drop. But what you got to always watch for is that displacement and fair value gap. If we reach up, sweep up here, have displacement and a fair value gap up here, then I have to be bullish at that point and expect us to run up through all-time highs. And then what you look for is if that does happen, then you look for either it to continue up or if it inverts that fair value gap. If it inverts it, then it's like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe we are going to run and just go bearish from there. So it's a constant analysis on that long-term bias. That's what I'm constantly looking at. And then anytime I'm neutral or whatever, that's when I just really start referring to the lower time frames. And just because, remember, I say this all the time, just because my bias is one way on the overall bias doesn't mean I have to have a trade in that direction. I can look for the pullbacks because we know there's going to be pullbacks. And then if you know where price should pull back to, you can look for an entry to that pullback to get there. And that's what, look, I mean, come on. Come on. Come on. If you know what should happen, and I'm not, and it's not me, like I'm not the one that is like great at this. I'm not great. I'm still learning, but it's the concept. It's knowing this algorithm. And I don't care what anybody says or makes fun of saying, oh, there's an algorithm, because you got other people out there selling courses saying, making fun of algorithms. But how could I tell you this is where my target was? How could I tell you where we're going to pull back to? And how could I tell you we'll run up through here after that happens? How could I tell you that? You can't deny it. Whatever you think or say about ICT doesn't matter. The concepts work. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So, as I said, if we do continue going up in anywhere in this area, and then we pull back, where would we pull back? Well, if you see here on the 5-minute chart, potentially, because it's not there yet, potentially we're creating an imbalance here, a fair value gap. So if this fair value gap happens and we keep pushing up, and then you start seeing it pull back, you see a market structure shift on the 1 minute, the lower time frames. Well, where are we going to pull back to? The imbalance. If you get one on the 15-minute, where would we pull back to? The 15-minute imbalance. And you'll just do that until we reach up here. Unless if one of those gets inverted. And then if one of those gets inverted, then you have to rethink. That's simple. Yeah, I love it too, because the more you learn and the more you study, Chris, the more it all just comes together and makes sense. And then you just feel good. And then you just feel really good, and that allows you to lose and feel good because you know why you lost usually. And it's usually me being stupid, or being impatient. Like, I shouldn't have taken that trade. Or yesterday, this is a low risk, low probability. Well, in hindsight, why even take it? Yes, you could have gotten a big reward, but is it worth it? Probably not. Probably not. It's a gamble. So it is what it is. Chris, my buddy Chris, my bestie. It's all in great intention. I tell everybody the same thing. But see, that comes from my sports background. That really does. It's because if somebody is struggling, and it's basketball for me. I've always been basketball. If somebody's struggling, I keep getting turnovers all the time. I keep losing the ball. Okay, well, how many times have you gone outside and practiced dribbling to handle the ball better so you don't have turnovers? Like, how many times have you done that? Well, have you done that every day? Well, I can't hit a shot. My shooting's gone down so much. Well, how many shots have you went outside and taken every single day? Did you skip a day? Are you doing it every day? Like, for me, it's always, what have you done? How can you get better? Like, if you're not taking the steps, how can you expect to get better? You just can't. That's just always been kind of my mentality on everything. On everything. I might cut sensitive, then it'll cut out for a second. Richard, okay, so let's put it this way. I have never been as consistent and received as many payouts as I ever have since I've been with ICT concepts. And the only reason why I didn't take any payouts in November and December is because I chose not to. My balances were way up, which in hindsight, I wish I did take payouts because December and January brought it back down. But I've never, and it's because my comfort of knowing and reading this market, right? And how did we do it? We did it by transitioning over. We didn't just hop over cold turkey. Like, I was learning and studying and still doing simplicity. You can ask Chris. We both did it. I still use simplicity, and I was looking for when things lined up. I would say, oh, here's a potential simplicity short. Oh, but there's also a potential fair value gap forming. So then we started putting rules together where, okay, if I get a simplicity, I need a bearish fair value gap to form at the same time. And then I'd see how it worked. And then an LRE, ask Chris, how many times was there an LRE at a fair value gap? Boom, we'd go short, grab 20 points, done. Like, we did that over and over and over until finally we're like, oh, let's lose the 10 tick chart now. We don't need that. Oh, let's lose the 30 tick chart. We don't need that. Let's lose, I don't need the 50 tick chart anymore. So we started just dropping them. And it was hard. And then because as we started doing that, we started realizing I'm not even looking at those charts anymore. Like, I can see this stuff now and I'm not even having to look at the charts. And then, of course, the final straw was dropping simplicity chart. It was scary, and I couldn't believe it, but it happened. Never looked back. I mean, hey, it paved the way for us, right? It paved the way. But that's how we did it. So if you're thinking about doing it, just start watching videos. You know how it is. Just watch videos, be patient, notes, all that good stuff, and then just start chart watching. See how it lines up together. For you, if you feel like that, Richard, imagine us, Chris and I. Imagine us. I honestly felt like that, and I really was like so hesitant to even come out and say I'm not using sniper, just because I felt like But yeah, it's trading. I look. There's I'll never sniper system paved the way for us. I honestly wouldn't be here because if it wasn't for sniper and learning all that helped me so much, even now with ICT concepts. And even now there's so many. You'll see if you start learning and you'll see how things line up. Mini magnets will line up with some things. ZOIs will line up with some things. Sniper's amazing, and still to this day, I recommend people when they don't know anything about trading at all and they're getting started. I'm like, hey, that's not a bad place. That's like probably your best bet is to start there. You learn so much about trading that is so important, like the discipline, when not to trade, all that stuff. You learn so much of that with Apex. And then if you want to evolve, you can. And some people don't, and they're just killing it with the sniper system still. It's just whatever makes you feel comfortable. I'm just super comfortable like this because I know the whys. That's the thing for me. Like, for example, what creates a mini magnet? What exactly creates a mini magnet? What exactly creates a ZOI, a zone of interest? We don't know the exact thing. But what is it? What is it? It's an algorithm, right? Daryl even said it's an algorithm, something in the market. There's an algorithm that creates those things. Does Daryl know the algorithm? I mean, he probably does. He knows how the market works. He may not call it an algorithm, but if you know how the market works, you know the algorithm. And so that's why so many things with the Apex sniper system does line up. Not exact, but very close. So it's just now I'm able to see it without all the other stuff. Daryl likely made the algo. He went from options to futures and said, you know what? I'm going to create an algo for futures. Here we go. Yep. See, we got the 5-minute fair value gap. This is where I would look to see if it gets inverted or if it holds up, builds some support. We're coming up to 1030. And then if we can hold some support here, then we may push up even higher and then make, look to create a 15-minute fair value gap. We got a little 15-minute fair value gap right here. So it could wick down into here and then continue up. So just always looking for areas. But anyways, all right, y'all. 10:30 coming up on 10:30 here. So that is my time. I appreciate everybody for being here. Please make sure and hit that like button. Make sure you're Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out when I go live. Always check the community tab. Check if I have upcoming streams to know if I'll be here. I will be here tomorrow morning. So definitely appreciate it. Yeah, ICT. If he comes on, hey, come on, ICT, jump on my stream. Let me know what I'm doing wrong or right. Anyways, that threw me off. All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Definitely appreciate y'all for being here, and I will see y'all tomorrow. As always, trade well, everybody.
Yeah.